The Leprocauns. A few weeks ago, although it seems much longer now, I went to the local hotel to drink green beer with two buddies on St. Patrick's Day. I should mention that green beer isn't green 'cause it's rotten. This was simply good old draft beer in the 7-ounce glasses, turned Kelly green with food coloring. I was with Bob and Grant. We had just turned 18, so going to a beer parlor was still something of a novelty. Grant and I were talking about our favorite obsession, H.P. Lovecraft, while Bob appeared bored. He kept looking around and suddenly stiffened. Leaning towards us, he whispered, "Don't look now, but everyone in the bar is staring at us, and they don't look happy." It was true. Grant and I stopped jawing about the lurking fear and turned to look. 50 or 60 men were staring directly at us, arms folded and anger on their faces. In particular, one huge beefy man, the size of an NFL offensive lineman. "What the?" I said to the other guys, being sure to keep my voice down. I don't think they want us in here," Grant stammered. "Let's drink up and go," Bob said quietly. "Besides, there's no chicks here anyway." And so we left. Were we in danger of getting our heads punched in? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Seems the Leafs were playing the Canadians, and we had been sitting directly under the TV. It also appears that the Toronto boys had blown a 3-goal lead, and all their fans, which was 90% of those in the bar, were completely pissed off, especially those who had a little money riding on the game. So the angry looks were aimed at the TV, not at 3 high school kids. But, like Bob said, there were no chicks, so it was time to go. But not home. The weather was warm for March, and there was no snow on the ground, so we wanted to hang out and continue celebrating St. Paddy's Day. But where? The ever-helpful Grant added helpfully, "I've got some cans of OV, Old Vienna, at home. We just need some place to drink 'em, away from the old people." The Silo, our town's numero uno party spot, was too far to walk, which left the woods atop Hogsback Ridge, where we found ourselves sucking on cold brewskis a half-hour later. A full moon cast a silvery glare, almost as bright as full daylight, and our surroundings, the skeletal, leafless trees, the tall grass, and the dirt trail, all stood out with photographic clarity. Bob belched before observing, "Looks like we've got the joint to ourselves, eh?" "That's if the Leprocauns aren't around," I said. Bob burped again, then said, "What? Are you hoping to find the pot of gold or something?" Grant was a serious dude, and he looked especially serious when he said, "The whole Leprechaun concept is no joke." I took this as my cue to fill Bob in as to the nature of the Leprechauns, the nature of those dwarfish humanoids. The Leprechauns are not the comical little creatures found in fairy tales, at least not the ones around here. The ones around here are deadly. What happened is this. Back in the days of the Lumberwoods, an Irish lumberjack working in the Ottawa River Valley had brought over from the old country 3 leprechauns, which he kept as pets, which wasn't a great idea. They escaped. Now, the Irish leprechauns were happy creatures which loved to dance, caper, and pull somersaults. But the Canadian woods is a harsh environment, and the descendants of the 3 escapees, and they had many descendants, the Leprocauns, grew larger, grew more aggressive, more prone to violence, and developed a taste for meat, specifically human flesh. I concluded, soon the mysterious disappearance of loggers and teamsters was blamed on these carnivorous little freaks. And, as you know, people still go missing in the woods all the time. B.S., Bob crowed. I don't believe any of that. Next you'll be telling me about the night floaters. You must admit, it's an interesting concept, Grant said lamely. I still call B.S., Bob said. We were on our second beers by then, but the mood was broken, and other than the occasional burp or fart, nobody spoke. It was an awkward silence, and I had an eerie feeling of being watched, that something furtive was staring at me from the shadows. What was that? Grant said, his voice unnaturally loud. What? Something's moving in the bushes. Bob laughed, but not for long. They exploded out of the bushes, dwarfish humanoids with long hair and beady red eyes, set in lumpy, aged faces. They were nude except for crew trousers, their miniature but muscular bodies covered with clumps of matted gray hair. Their mouths were open, wide open, to reveal jagged yellow teeth. One of them landed on Bob, sprawling him across the trail, while 2 of them had grabbed Grant, who yelled and struggled against them. One of the things, which I realized must be some of the carnivorous leprechauns, came sailing through the air towards me. I threw my can of beer at it, which struck it in the face, causing it to fall to the ground. The beer can confused it. It picked it up, sniffed it, and then drank what was left of the contents. This gave me several moments, which I put to good use. I ran. I know, I should have gone to help Bob and Grant, but I was too big of a coward. I ran and ran and ran and ran, faster than I had ever run in my entire life. But it was still a near thing. The Leprecaun chased me until I was out of the woods, and I could hear others blundering through the bushes, trying to cut me off. Somehow I made it back to our apartment building. Luckily, Mom was out, working the evening shift at Ford. Bob's body was found the next day, lying by the creek. The official story was that he had fallen off the ridge while drunk and had broken his neck. But that didn't explain the chew marks. The chew marks, the bite marks that covered his body. As for Grant, he has never been found. No one knew I was with them at the ridge, and so I was never questioned. Not that the cops would have believed me. But I haven't gotten off scot-free. I never go out at night anymore, and when I'm home alone, which is a lot as Mom often works nights at Ford, I can hear things with strange, squeaky voices, things out in the hall, things which tap on my door and try to open it. And I'm too afraid to look out the peephole. I'm also afraid of those things climbing up and getting onto our balcony. The way those things can leap. We're only on the 3rd floor. But the worst of it is I've started walking in my sleep and leaving the apartment, as Mom is not around to stop me. Last week I came to, walking through the night in just my gotchis, and I had walked halfway to the woods. The Leprocauns are summoning me to my destruction. Editor's note: the preceding account was written in the mid-1970s. Its author was reported missing shortly after these notes were written. He was never found. The moral of the story: if you're going to be attacked by leprechauns whilst drinking beer, at least let that beer be Guinness. What follows is a bad poem about the Leprechaun by the bad poet Warren S. James. By the way, the name of the bad Canadian version of the Leprechaun is spelled Leprocaun. Leprechaun. The Leprechaun by the bad poet Warren S. James. I know I would like to avoid this small but nasty humanoid, for should you stop to laugh at him, he just might tear you limb from limb. So watch out for this little creep, and watch out for his flying leap. Your only chance then is, oh well, to turn around and run like hell. That was the published version. And yeah, it was published. Yeah, really, it was. It was published. Here's my original version. I'm sure I would like to avoid this small but nasty humanoid, for even though it's rather tiny, I hear its teeth are sharp and shiny, and will clamp down upon your hiney. With a roar loud as a dragon, it will attack a lonely wagon, and should the driver pause to laugh, he'll wind up torn right in half. Let me know in the comments below which version you like best. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So again, please consider subscribing. Please help me to reach my goal of 2,500 subs. Till midnight, cheers! Pictures used in today's video, courtesy of Pix here. That's PX here. While the music was the appropriately named Unseen Horrors by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod. Wow, my voice is tired and dry after all that reading. I could use a beer. Wonder if they still make Old Vienna. I wonder.